So on today's ride, here we are in lovely North Wales, on the island of Anglesey, as it's known in English, Ynys Môn in Welsh. Menai Strait separating us from the mainland on the other side, and we're here because it's the longest day of the year. It's the summer solstice, the sun has just risen, it's 4:52 a.m, early start. We're going to get some breakfast, we're going to get ready, and then we're going to do a fantastic tour of the island of Anglesey of Ynys Môn. Just before 6 a.m. and we're off. About 140 kilometers. Quite a lot of up and down. In fact, almost the whole thing is up and down. I'll show you a quick shot of the profile. Not a lot of flat, no big climbs. So it'll be, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 hours. Should be back in time for lunch. Farmers are up and at work. Nice and early, literally making hay while the sun shines, as the saying goes, because the sun is about to come to an end. We've had a little heat wave, as the Brits like to call it here. Well, it's been 26, 27 degrees, which is pretty hot for North Wales. Personally, I found it perfect, and it's about to come to an end tomorrow, so good timing for the solstice. We'll just enjoy today before the rains return. Stop and listen to the birds. I've been planning this ride for literally years. I just checked. Somebody did this route and I copied it at the time and kept it because I thought it looked good. And I just checked, and that was in 2021 during COVID, when I was presumably in Vietnam. Morning, chaps. Lambs are out. So I copied it then. I've been planning to do it ever since, and I've just never quite managed to make it across the Menai Strait. Yeah, it looks like a fantastic route, going around the island, a little bit of coast, some hills, some sheep. Still with these lambs, they're just going to run in front of me now. Hopefully they turn right here. No, not clever enough. I think this must be one of the highest points, so yeah, we won't be going high, we're only a couple of 100 meters up. There are some bigger hills I can see. I know there's a couple of decent climbs, but really just rolling for now. And looking east, we can see the mountains of Eryri, Snowdonia. So from my home in Llangollen, I drive through Eryri, through Snowdonia National Park, and then to Bangor, or nearly into Bangor, and then I cross the Menai Bridge, which crosses the Menai Straits and onto the Isle of Anglesey and Ynys Môn. It's a very ancient and magical place. It's got a lot of history. People have been living here for a long, long time, and there's some fantastic ancient Neolithic burial sites and long barrows, and hopefully we'll get to see one or two on the ride. Oh, and it's also home to what is said to be one of the longest place names of any town in the world. Anyway, we'll get back onto that later. Yeah, I've been planning this for some years. In the end, all it took for me was to pack the van up, drive an hour and a half west and find a good place to park up, which I found very quickly, and it was superb, right on the Menai Strait. So I spent the night, it was a warm night, I spent the night with the van door open, facing the ocean, just the sounds of the waves lapping, and I slept like a baby. Ar Owen Glyndŵr, the pub in Llandorna. Owen Glyndŵr, of course, was the great Welsh revolutionary who fought back against the English. Definitely a bit of a hero around these parts. So the names are very interesting. I grew up just calling it Anglesey, as did most people, but in recent years the Welsh are trying to reclaim their place names and their mostly more ancient Welsh names against great resistance from a lot of English people. I think it's just fear of change, and I think it's also that the English have a bit of a fear of what they would call foreign languages with funny noises. Me personally, I don't speak Welsh, but I do love it. I think it's a fantastic language, and I can pronounce it to some extent, and I do know some Welsh, as we will find out a little bit later maybe. But yeah, the name. So the English name Anglesey is ancient. A little bit of research I did, Wikipedia, thank you. It comes from the Viking name, Ongle's Isle. So we're talking 8th to 10th century. Now the Welsh name, well, it's actually had various names in Welsh, including Avel Ynys, which means the Honey Isle. That's a really lovely name. But the name that seems to have stuck is Ynys Môn. Ynys being Welsh for island, and Môn, they think, comes from the Romans. So if the Vikings gave the English name sometime in the 8th to 10th centuries AD, the Roman name much older, because the Romans were here from around the time of Christ till about the 5th century AD. And Môn apparently means island, so Ynys Môn, island. I think they should have stuck with the Honey Isle myself. We've taken a little detour to come and see this Siambar Gladdi Lligwi, the Lligwi Neolithic burial chamber. And here it is. Very ancient, thousands of years old. Always seems a propitious time to visit these sites, because the ancients definitely very much celebrated the solstice. I have been to Stonehenge for the solstice once, and that was quite an occasion. Complete chaos, madness, but fantastic. Lligwi burial chamber. It's in English on this side. So this monument was erected towards the end of the Neolithic, 2500 to 2000 BC. So over 4,000 years old. Quite something. Or maybe it's time for... Yeah, I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm on my gravel bike, my British gravel bike, not my Asian gravel bike, which lives in Asia now. I bought this one last year. I think I did feature it on a video once. Why am I riding a gravel bike on a solely road route? Because my road bike's out of action. My cranks are getting replaced by Shimano. Seems to be taking a while. Anyway, so in the meantime, I'm on my Specialized Diverge. Now, I bought this last year for 600 and something pounds, so very cheap, like $700 or something. I love it. I absolutely love it. Aluminium, which I'm very happy with. A more basic group set than I'm used to, Tiagra. But to be honest, I think it's fantastic. It changes better than my old Tegra one and my 1051. Okay, it's only 2x10, but that's absolutely fine. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, the gearing is... can't remember. I've got too many bikes to remember my gearing ratios, but it's enough to get me up hills. I've got my Karoo 3 on the front. I've got a little handlebar bag, quite acceptable on a gravel bike. I've got my toolkit on the back, a couple of bottles of water, and I've got my, see it flashing in the back, that's my Garmin Varia. If you don't know what that is, it's a radar that picks up vehicles approaching you from the rear. Very, very handy. We're passing Maniv Paris Mountain. It's an old copper mine. Apparently the Neolithic people knew there was copper in there and worked it, but apparently it wasn't until the 18th century that the locals discovered it and caused a real boom. I think the town of Amlwch that we're about to come to was like a thriving mining town way back in the 18th century. And though it may be called Maniv mountain. We're 113 meters above sea level, so I think we'd have to call that one a hill rather than a mountain. Look, Croesoa, twinned with a town in the Gambia. That's an interesting connection. I wonder how that came about. Right, we're coming into Amlwch. Might stop for a little snack. Had my breakfast a few hours ago. I've been riding 2.5 hours now. Had a good bowl of porridge with stuff on it. Good stuff. That always fuels me for a while. But I've got a sandwich and some snacks, so we're good for the whole ride. Conditions are good. It's clear. It was warm this morning. Certainly sunny. It is on the turn though. You see these clouds? Those sort of clouds are the sort of clouds you get when the weather's on the turn, I find, and I just feel it now. The air's just got a bit cooler. Anyway, there's a bit of a rain, possibility of a shower or so a little bit later, so hopefully we'll get back before then. There's certainly very little wind, as we can see from these windmills, not moving an inch. Newfangled windmills to a much nicer old-fashioned one. Still not turning though. Well, weather has suddenly changed. We're down to, I don't know if you can make that out, 14 degrees. Suddenly gone really chilly. Of course I haven't got enough clothes. First spots of rain. We've still got about 40k to go, so I have got a raincoat, a rain windproof. I'll put that on if it really starts raining or getting cold, but for now we just keep pedaling. Much flatter now for the last 40k, so maybe get there in an hour or so. Well, we're nearly at the end of the ride. We're coming into a little town that is quite famous, and it's quite famous because of its name. It's got several different names. I'm just going to put the bike on here. Well, it's got several different versions of the name, so on maps and signs it's called Lanvar Puls, which is a bit of a mouthful, a few double L's. Can be shortened to Lanvar PG, or I think the locals call it Lanvar Puls. But it's also got a version that is the longest name in Europe, so we're going to go and have a look at that. So it was originally, I believe, called Puls, which means the pool of the white, some sort of tree, hazel or willow. I've never heard of a white hazel, so maybe a white willow. And then they added the Lanvar, and Lanvar is the parish or church of Mary, so it got religiousized, but then they decided to add a whole lot more. So sometime at the end of the 19th century, some bright spark thought it would put them literally on the map if they changed the name of the railway station and made it even longer. So now it says this. I don't know how many letters it is, but it's said to be the longest in Europe. Not in the world, we'll come back to that. Anyway, I'm going to have a go at pronouncing it. If you hear the locals do it, they sort of rattle it off, but I'm going to do it slowly. So, Lanvar Puls, Golgeri, Huindrobus, Lanticilio, go. Not bad. Well, as forecast, the rain came, bit of a heavy shower. Gave me a chance to try out my new raincoat though, which isn't, I have to say, it was very good. I've normally had really shit, cheap raincoats in the past that keep you a bit warmer but don't keep you dry. This one kept me dry. We're now being held up by a horse and cart, which is a rare sight on British roads nowadays. Looking back over the Menai Straits while we're waiting, enjoying the view. Just to say that Lanvar Puls is the longest place name, certainly in the UK. It's said to be the longest in Europe. There's a longer one in New Zealand, but even that is not the longest place name in the world, city name in the world, because Bangkok is way longer. Now, what is this skullduggery I hear you say? Bangkok, it's a mere 7 letters. But Bangkok, and this may be a school day for some, I only learnt this fairly recently and I live there, is not what the locals call it. The real name for Bangkok runs to 168 letters and starts with Krung Thep Mahanakon and then keeps on rolling. It's a compound name like Lanvar, an ancient Sanskrit name, but the locals do actually use it, but they won't use the whole name. They'll just refer to it as Krung Thep. Well, the rain's starting again, but we're nearly back. Only in the UK can it go from 18 degrees at 4 a.m. to 13 degrees at midday. Anyway, fantastic ride, really loved it. Always love to celebrate the summer solstice with a special ride, and that was special. If you enjoyed it, please, as usual, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and even more importantly, I've learned, please watch the video to the end. Apparently this makes a big difference. Even if you don't like it, leave it running. Go and make a coffee, please. Okay, thank you. Next week we'll be somewhere very different. We're back to Vietnam. So see you then on today's ride.